peoples. This is majorly impromptu. So surprise RP. I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna go live and I'm gonna also do it on RP because I want to talk about UBI, and that's something that RP addresses a lot as well, because hello, it has to do with fucking economics. Yay. 86 Blackberry. Don't forget to DM or email mfriendforall.org because we have your t-shirt. We just need your address. But we are gonna hook you up. You get that sweet, sweet volunteer only t-shirt. Yeah. So yeah, I am. Oh, and in case any of my new trolls join, who are like freaking out on Twitter, I am mostly blind, so I won't be able to see your comments. So don't be a douchebag because I won't be able to respond, and that's not fair. So anyway, so I saw a post. Marianne Williamson was like talking about her economic bill of rights and blah, blah, blah. And this one person was like, you need to drop out because you don't have an UBI. And that's the thing that matters. I won't vote for anyone without a UBI. And I'm thinking, that's your deal breaker? A UBI? Because, I mean, she has Medicare for all, she has reparations, she has increased income, she has federal job guarantee, she has universal child care, and the list goes on. But you are having a temper tantrum because she said she's open to UBI, but not as a standalone, which is the right fucking answer. Because, as I'm sure most everyone on here knows, UBI as a standalone actually hurts poor people. It has the opposite effect. So, there's a lot of blue hats in there, some yang bangers. And it seems like none of them ever read his proposal. Shocker. Because those of us who did read it know that what he was talking about would cancel out these social safety nets that are already in place. So I tried to draw a little diagram to see if maybe it made more sense to them. So I know it's beautiful. It is going to be sent to the loo next week. So basically in one column, I have UBI, $1,000. In the other column, I have single mom. Now the single mom, she gets $890 on SSDI. She gets $410 on food stamps. She gets $290 for LIHEAP. She gets $400 for reduced reduced childcare. She gets Medicaid for all three of the kids. This totals to over $2,100 per month. Now, every single legislation for UBI has stated that $1,000 a month would supersede all of those programs. And it would just be this one payment to cover all of those things. So it'd be much easier. Well, $2,100 is a bit of a difference than $1,000, especially when you're a single mother of three. I worked in medical assistance for over 3 years. This single mother of three thing is so beyond common. People getting $2,000 a month out of benefits from this, that is not uncommon. we have a lot of poor people in our country. And to say, these people are literally saying UBI would eradicate poverty. Eradicate. That is so fucking ignorant. And that is just disgusting that people are saying that and people are agreeing with it because they cannot bother to actually educate themselves. When in actuality, most of us, likely any regulars, know for a fact that UBI could only possibly work when coupled with other things. So these blue hat Yang bangers, right? They're like, well, Yang had UBI and blah blah blah. Okay, yeah, Yang did have UBI, and it also canceled out social safety nets. And you know what else Yang did? He did not support Medicare for all. He did not support federal jobs guarantee. He did not support raising the minimum wage. He did not support free college and trade school. He did not support student debt cancellation. He did not support any of those things. He supported, here's $1,000 check. We're done. Everything's saved. Because he's a multimillionaire and he's a businessman and he doesn't know fuck all about how people are suffering. That's why. So anybody who thinks that simply handing out $1,000 checks is going to eradicate poverty seriously needs to check their privilege and go interact with people who are actually hurting. Because let me tell you guys something. I've been interviewing a lot of people in East Palestine, and that $1,000, you really think that would change their lives so much? You really think that all of a sudden they wouldn't be in turmoil? This one kid, I assume he's a kid. I hope he's a kid because these people are so fucking unintelligent. This one kid decides to do a search through my tweets where I was calling out Biden and Pelosi for not giving us stimulus when, they promised they would and never did. And trying to make this thing like, oh, you wanted stimulus, but now you don't want UBI. Well, that's not even the same fucking thing. A stimulus is given here and there in a certain instance. That was because of the C word, which I can't say or they'll take my fucking video down. That was like here's this, a few months later, here's this, one was like $600 and like, it was garbage. It was nothing. It was a Band-Aid, if that. So comparing that, which was a once in a blue moon thing that happened, 3 times? To compare that, which changed no social programs whatsoever. It canceled no programs. It impeded no people with what kind of benefits they got. So to compare that to something that people would be given every single month and cancel all their other benefits, that is beyond a false equivalency. That is the most dishonest so-called comparison. It's bullshit. It's not even comparable. But they don't want to learn. And, I said in the thread, I said, look, ignorance is not lack of knowledge. Ignorance is an unwillingness to learn. The reason I talked about it to begin with was because Marianne Williamson had made basically something to allude to, I'm not opposed to it, but there has to be other things with it, which, like I said, is the correct answer. And my initial post was $1,000 UBI check does nothing to address poverty. does nothing to address racism, does nothing to address sexism, does nothing to address ableism, does nothing to address literally any inequities you could possibly think of. It does nothing, because you know why? It's going to give me $1,000. It's going to give the person who is literally one payment short of ending up on the street $1,000, and it's going to give Mark Zuckerberg $1,000. So no, that is inequitable. That is not okay. That does not solve problems. That does not eradicate poverty. That is bullshit. And that is people who are uneducated pushing propaganda so that everybody just drops fighting for everything that's important and says, hey, we just want $1,000. Yeah, it must be nice. Because guess what? You take away my fucking disability and shit like that and give me $1,000. No, I'm going to be one of the people who actually ends up fucking hurting from that so-called deal. What about people on unemployment? That goes away. Food stamps goes away. Discount lunches goes away. And you know, something else people weren't talking about is the fact that, you know, number one, health insurance costs are going to raise even more exorbitantly because they're going to be like, hey, guess what? Everybody has an extra $1,000 now, so we can hike this up and that up. And did you guys not see what happened at the gas pumps when we all got that stimulus? Dude, come on. That's how capitalism works. They see everyone getting $1,000 and the prices will skyrocket even more. It will be a business opportunity for so many people. And the poor class and working class, we will suffer more. It's really not that fucking hard to understand. It's not. So these people are getting very defensive about how UBI is the greatest thing in the universe and how dare we not want it. But while they're getting so defensive, they're not paying attention to the fact that we never said we don't want it. We said it needs to be coupled with other things. Coupled. If you give a poor Black single mother the same amount as you give a white man who makes $80,000 a year, that is not eradicating poverty in any way, shape, or form. How the fuck is that eradicating poverty? It's still showing that someone else is above them. It's still showing that it's unequal. It's still someone else using their privilege to be above someone else. It is still having the boot on that single mother's neck. That does nothing. So UBI is not about equity in any way, shape, or form. Now, the fact of the matter is there's a lot of other things that need to change. Like when I talk about these social safety nets, like LIHEAP, like, food stamps, like things like that. The income limit is way, way too low. Like I said, I've worked in medical insurance or medical assistance for 3 fucking years. I've been there and had to tell people, look, call out sick one day and then reapply because they were like $10 over. It's bullshit. Okay. So those income limits need to go way up if it's still going to be like that. But these things are mean tested. They are income contingent. So ideally, with the UBI, we would want to couple with a job guarantee, a federal job guarantee. We would want to couple with universal pre-K through college. We would want to couple with Medicare for all. We'd want to couple with, pretty much anything that I don't know, maybe every other industrial country in the entire fucking universe has. And that is how you begin to try to eradicate poverty. There is literally no one thing that will eradicate poverty. It doesn't exist. The number one thing that would go towards eradicating poverty would be national improved Medicare for all. Why do I say that? Because the millions in medical debt, the millions who won't go to the doctor, the millions who, the over 100,000 people who die every year because they can't afford to go to a doctor, the homeless people who can't go to a doctor, the people who lose their homes because they have medical bills. All of these things are inextricably linked. So that is the number one thing. With that, other things would fall into place and go with that. But to say that, I mean, like, fucking, I literally have thousands in medical debt. What the fuck is $1,000 gonna do? That doesn't even fucking, like, these kids, I fucking swear, they live in their parents' fucking basement and have no bills and just think, I want $1,000 so I can play video games all day. Like, I cannot help but think that's what this is. Because I hope that anyone with any kind of actual real life bills would realize, whether it's, it's part of their lives or, maybe other people's who actually exist, the poors. I would hope any grown-ass people would recognize that life is not that black and white, that you cannot take one single $1,000 check and eradicate poverty and make everyone's life fucking flowers and rainbows. It doesn't fucking work. I remember Yang, at the debates, and he said two things that he has said many, many things that disgust me. But two of the things about UBI that was, wow. One thing he said was, if people are in a bad work, in a bad workplace, if UBI were in place, they could leave that job and start their own business. That is someone who has no clue what it takes to start their own business. You think someone can just leave their job and start their own business with $1,000? You cannot even rent a place to have a fucking business for $1,000. Privilege. No clue. Then what was even worse was they brought up something about sexual harassment on the debate stage. And Yang said, essentially, the good thing is if there's a waitress and she's, having inappropriate comments by her boss or something, she could just leave getting that $1,000 and open her own restaurant. So, number one, you're doing nothing to change the problem. You're not doing anything to say, this should be illegal. You shouldn't have to put up with that. You're not doing that. You're not saying there should be, some kind of ramification for him making her uncomfortable that way and doing that. You're saying, you know what? It's on the victim. You pick up your shit and you go. And then you just open your own place. Like, it is so easy. You have that $1,000. You go, girl. That is so fucking clueless and offensive. And it's pure propaganda. And people eat it up. Do you guys remember when he was saying, which was totally illegal, and many of us knew it was illegal, and I wish he wouldn't have found out it was illegal before he did it, because that would have been hilarious. But at the one debate, he was offering people who donated a chance to win $1,000 stimulus. I was like, okay, this is so obviously fucking illegal. It is literally pay to play. Like, what the fuck are you talking about right now? And like, all these people were donating like $5. Like, oh my God, I can win $1,000. Like, you guys are that uneducated that you thought he could do that. I mean, I take nobody seriously who thinks it's cool to like be running for president and like have people on their knees and spray fucking whipped cream in their mouth and like go crowd surfing and toss fake $1,000 bills into the audience with your face on them. That is, yeah, hey, toss fake $1,000 bills to an audience full of kids who have no fucking money. How is that not privilege and offensive as fuck? So, and then, you got the fact that the dude literally started a party, which is actually a super PAC. If you look it up, it's literally described as a super PAC started by Andrew Yang, and they called a party. There are no candidates. They have ballot access in 0 states. So you're like standing over this dude who is just a fucking joke in every way. Not to mention some of his tweets. I'll rephrase. Most of his tweets are just abhorrent. And he should honestly just delete his account. And he is like, honestly, like, he's an awful person, like just an awful person. He has no compassion. Everything to him is business. And that is not someone I want leading the state or the country or anything like that. I remember when he was running in New York and he was like, well, I want to give Bloomberg props because he's putting thousands of more police on the line and in our city. And he was asked where his favorite place in New York was, and he said Times Square. Like, every fucking New Yorker I know was like, fuck Andrew Yang. Like, Times Square? You live in New York and you pick Times Square? Oh my God. It's just he's just a fucking mess in so many ways. So the fact that they're like thinking that he has this answer, and he's been promoting people to run in the Dems and like stuff, he's just such a fraud. But they're taking their advice from this person who literally announced his new party the day his book came out. Right. Okay. So everyone who's donated to the super PAC, i.e. Ford Party, what have you gotten for it? What has he accomplished? Oh, nothing? Oh, wow. How shocking. So these people are not serious. They are not knowledgeable. And their arguments are very much like, UBI is what we need. And then I'll be like, here's why UBI alone is not going to work. And I'll lay out all these receipts. And they're like, I've already proven to you how that UBI would work. Literally, all you said was, we need UBI, and if you don't support it, drop out. How is that any kind of tangibles? Give me a reason, dude. Give me a fucking reason. I'm open. Give me a reason. Give me an example. Because I remember when they tried UBI in Finland, and their UBI was over $2,000. And it still worked out against the poor. Because, like we've always said, everyone at RP and myself, it will cut all other programs. So people who were on disability, people who were on unemployment, all of those things went away. And they got this UBI. That was more than $1,000. It was over $2,000. I can't remember how much, but it was over $2,000. And it was a disaster. So, and they have Medicare for all and like all the things we're fighting for, and it didn't work for them. So can we just think about this? There is nothing wrong with demanding more. There is nothing wrong with saying, we need this, but we need it with. Why is that wrong? Why is it too much? Why is it, okay for people to just be like, no, we just need this one thing. That's all we need. And guess what? Any other bill that tries to go through House, Senate, local, whatever, you know what? Every single person is going to say, they get $1,000 a month. We don't need to pass that. Why would we pass that? They get $1,000 a month. They get $12,000 per year each person. Why would we pass Medicare for all? For what? They get all that free money. We don't need to pass shit. That's how politicians think. You are living in a fucking dream world if you think that they're going to fight us on having a stimulus that we're owed $400 extra for, and they fought us tooth and nail, and you think they're going to give us $1,000 a month each person over 18, and they're not going to take away other things? You really think that? Just stop. Seriously, stop. Think. If you're capable, think. You are pushing propaganda that is going to hurt poor people. People have no empathy. They don't try to learn. They have no, like people, we are watching eugenics of the poor. And these people just come on Twitter like, if you don't support UBI, you need to drop out. Well, what about how she's the only one who supports Medicare for all? She's the only one who supports reparations. She's the only one who supports Green New Deal, and so on and so forth. But she should drop out because she doesn't give in to your demand of supporting UBI. Go fuck yourself, dude. You are not that important as a person. This is about the collective good. And just because you demand $1,000 does not mean it is going to benefit people. And that mindset that it is just going to help everyone is so privileged and so ignorant. Because also, like I said earlier, what it comes down to, the system is not changed. $1,000 checks does not change this violent, capitalistic vulture system we have. It changes nothing at all. And if that UBI is now taken away, poor people are still poor. Black people are still black. Disabled people are still disabled. Like, things are not changed by that one thing. People are still going to suffer because of their circumstance and because of what is being thrust on them unfairly. We all know that Black, women suffer more. They suffer the most as far as poverty goes. Study after study, year after year. Why should they get the same as rich white men? For what? That's beyond separate and unequal. That is inequity times a million. Why should we be worrying about helping people who don't need it and be focusing on that? I'd rather actually focus on the people who would have their benefits cut and suffer from this I demand UBI. So for anyone joining, I am mostly blind. I cannot read the comments at all. So I try to with my blind accessibility device after. But I can't see any of the comments now. So unfortunately, I'm not able to agree, disagree, respond, address. That's not something I'm able to do. But yeah, I wanted to just kind of rant about this because each post, I'm just like, oh my God, like, why can't you just learn? Nobody is saying we don't want a UBI. We're saying the only way to do a UBI is by coupling it with XYZ. There are different kinds of people. There are people who are so privileged, they only think about themselves and the people they know and don't actually talk to poor people. And then there are people with zero empathy. And then there are people who refuse to learn because they have such hubris. All they know is what they want, and they do not care about the ramifications it would have on people who are hurting. And then there's people who just, have this like niche thing. Like, who talked about UBI before Andrew Yang? And he like created this fucking cult of personality that's like, UBI, 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 UBI. Cool. Well, guess what, people? We are worth more than settling. We actually are. We are worth more than breadcrumbs. We are worth more than a Band-Aid. We are worth more than give me that even if you take away this. No. Don't fucking pull that shit. You demand what we deserve. Anything less than what we deserve, you're a fool. You are a fucking fool. So you can sit there and be like, I just want my $1,000. I don't care about anything else. Cool. Despite the fact that I told you it's going to hurt millions of people who are poor, you're still just not even going to listen to what I'm saying. You're still just going to say, but I want my $1,000. You showed yourself. You showed yourself. I mean, it's so fucking sad. Like, this is like fucking 2020 all over again. Like, I remember doing shows with RP where we would just like, oh my God, these fucking young people don't fucking understand. Because it's easier to believe something than to actually educate yourself. It's like we are not telling them these things to be an asshole. We are telling them because they are spreading information that damages people's lives. It's so fucking bananas. I don't even know. And the funny thing is, I knew, and not in a self-fulfilling prophecy I knew the second I said even one word. Whew, I knew it because it's this hive mind, this cult of personality. Like, what'd you say? What'd you say? No UBI. It's it's actually creepy. Like, be a free thinker, have your own thoughts, educate yourself, learn about things. If you learn the information that's literally at your fingertips, perhaps you'll come around. But just trying to find old posts from like 2 years of me ago of me saying like, Nancy, where's the extra $400 stimulus and shit? Like, totally comparable. Very much. So cognitive dissonance is a cancer. Lack of empathy is a cancer. Refusal to learn is a cancer. And privilege is a cancer. And these things are prevalent every single day, especially online. And it's hard not to really just want to lose your shit on people and be like, you know what? You're so fucking dumb. Because their posts, everyone deserves $1,000 a month. Well, anyone who's not educated on what UBI actually is going to be like, hell fucking yeah, we do. Where can I sign up? Hell yeah. How can we do this? When can we get it? Yep, absolutely. And they're not providing the damage it would do to millions of poor folks because I'm giving them that information, but they simply don't care. And that's, at a time when so much information is at your disposal, when you're choosing to ignore it, that's on you. That says a lot about you. And I don't want things to pass and have ramifications and have to be like, I told you so. I don't want to fucking told you so. I want you to listen before you push for something that's going to end up hurting people. That's why I speak out now. That's why you guys speak out now. That's why RP speaks out now. Because we're trying to educate people so they stop wasting their time fighting for something that is not going to help. It's sad. Like, it's actually sad. It's so frustrating when I don't plan on doing shows and then I do a show and I just feel so fucking exhausted afterwards because I'm like, I just like get so mentally drained. Like, these, stupid people just kind of like suck your brain energy out and they're just like succubus. Like, I want all your brain matter. Give it to me. Listen. Well, I do see Kami, Teresa, Blueberry. Can't make out. Can't really see anyone else I recognize. Yeah, I mean, sorry guys. If, like I said, if you guys are new, I'm mostly blind and I can't see the comments. I just know some people's avies who are regulars. And surprise, RP, I'm going live on your channel too. I was just like, this is not my regular night and not my regular show, but I just feel like I want to go live on my channel and their channel because RP gets UBI. Like, they fucking get it. So, and their audience gets it. So I hope that, if you guys are watching and you're on Twitter, oh, please entertain yourself by going in my thread because it is just, yeah, it's wow. Yeah. Anyway, please smash the like button. Please subscribe to my channel on YouTube and Rockfin, Savage Joy Marie Man. I do also have a Patreon, but at this point, we are my main ask is that we are. I'm going to be holding a rally and mutual aid in East Palestine, July 22nd for M for All. And we are in severe need of donations. We have raised $605, which we are so appreciative of. But we are at a month and month and a half, and we're trying to get 3,500. Because there's a lot that goes into rallies. And we don't need $100,000 for a jumbotron or anything like that. We're not even doing a stage or sound or anything. I'm going up there with my freaking megaphone. We're going to be outside the courthouse. Like, this is going to be so legit low key. These people are hurting. It doesn't need to be some big, show. It's going to be people who are hurting in East Palestine. It's going to be me, and it's going to be people telling stories about how their lives would change if they had national improved Medicare for all. And there is no other place I would rather be doing a rally right now. I am having another East Palestine guest, Scott Smith. He will be coming on my channel on Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. He is actually into bioscience. And he's been going to East Palestine and getting all kinds of tests from the water and the air and soil and things like that. And unfortunately, everyone doing those things are volunteer chemists. They volunteer to do this on their own time. But the good news is that I did find out today that the residents of East Palestine are all going to be getting a $10 coupon for local stores. Yeah, a $10 coupon. I mean, it's going to change lives. The No Fucks Given, Norfolk Southern, just had a carnival at Ground Zero, which they still, haven't replaced soil on or anything like that. They just had a carnival there, paid for by them, and, rides, food. Oh, yeah, that wasn't paid for by them. The people who went had to pay for that stuff. Duh. But they also had an Easter egg hunt last month on the damaged soil, Ground Zero. But they are making it up to we the people by giving them $10 coupons. Every single East Palestine person is getting a $10 coupon to a local business. Makes everything okay. Really does. That's why I can't wait to go out there. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Monday, I will be back on my channel and this channel, 9 p.m. Eastern with Andrew. Wednesday, I'll be on my channel. I'm going to have a few ladies joining me, and we're going to talk about there is a post that went viral that a woman she posted old pictures of Victoria's Secret angels and new pictures of Victoria's Secret angels, and the new one is curvy and the old one looks basically like they're starved, and she is praising the one, the old one, and saying, like, just some ignorant shit. So we're going to be discussing things like that, what it's like to be in indie media as a woman, and certain comments and things like that, and just having a discussion about that. And I encourage everyone to tune in, not just women. Like, it's going to be, this is not going to be like a man hating thing. I don't do that shit. I'm not a pussy hat wearer, and I never will be. But I just think it's worth discussing since that tweet went viral. So Monday with Andrew, postmortem breakdown. Wednesday with a few ladies joining me. Thursday with Scott Smith, who is the wonderful man who's doing testing in East Palestine, and other shows coming up I will be mentioning at a later date. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you, RP, for putting up with me just going live on your channel without asking or telling. Yeah, so thanks guys for tuning in, even though I announced it like 5 minutes before I went live. So much love, everyone. I will see you Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern.